What's up, everybody? Welcome to Omnic Lab. This is episode 152 of the show, and we are coming in on a nice Memorial Day weekend, long weekend for all of y'all out in the States. But for me, in Japan, I just came off a nice long work Monday. Going back tomorrow in the rain. We are in the rainy season of June. My name's Rob, and I'm here to talk all about Overwatch strategy with you this week, alongside of my good friend and yours, Andres Gomez, fresh out of the Momos and the MomoCon. What's up, dude?
What's up? What's up? Yeah, like you said, it's a beautiful weekend over here. All I have to do today is talk Overwatch and play the game, so I'm super excited.
Very, very cool. For those of you that don't know, Momo is actually the Japanese word for peach, and it fits right in the heart of the Georgia
Oh,
peach area.
I did not know that. It actually makes sense because their little logo is also a peach.
It's also a peach. Yep.
Yeah, but BomoCon just happened. I happened to be there on Saturday. It was pretty fun. I was pretty lucky to get to do a panel at the convention as well with a bunch of really cool podcaster friends and cosplayers. It was really cool. I had never been to the convention before. It was much bigger than I initially thought it was going to be because they had told me, yeah, MomoCon is like a smaller Dragon Con. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. But they filled out the Georgia World Congress Center, which is a huge venue, the same venue where they did DreamHack, and the whole like 3 floors were completely
Wow.
packed, and the convention was super full. Some of the best cosplay I've ever seen in my life. Like so many people there. The one that impressed me the most was a Sea of Thieves cosplayer group that was like
Huh.
to the dot exactly how the game looks. I was so impressed.
Wow. Did you get a chance to? I believe that if you were able to see any of the Overwatch things, that Rami was there, our Lucio player that we had on the show.
Oh, no
Found out
way.
that they played pretty high in a placed pretty high in whatever tournament she was in. I can't remember what rank that they were, what district, or like I didn't know anything about the tournament, but I just saw that she posted on Twitter
Oh, that's really cool. That's
they
really
were
cool.
competing.
There was a
So,
lot
anyways,
of
shout out to
Overwatch
all of you
cosplay
guys
too.
there.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, shout out to all of you guys that went out there. I know that Andres, you did a panel. You want to talk a little bit about your experience there on the panel?
Yeah, the panel was really cool. We got to talk about Overwatch League and esports in general. Bigger turnout than I initially thought too. Just because it was mostly like a cosplay and anime, a little bit of video game convention, so I didn't expect a lot of Overwatch. But like I was saying, there was a lot of Overwatch interest, and a lot of the people were actually dressed up as Overwatch characters. We got to meet a lot of them. Um, and shout out to everyone who showed up to the panel and said hi and asked questions at the very end. That was very nice of you guys. And hopefully, the people who attended had a good time. For those of you who are not there, I'm sure that there will be more opportunities for us to meet you guys, like BlizzCon and other places. But that being said, I really, really enjoy going out to these live events and just hanging out with you guys in general.
Absolutely. Also, shout out. I think you said there was another podcaster on the panel with you.
Yeah, Ryan from Bird Watchers. We've actually had him in I'll recap a couple times. He's a great guy.
Oh, awesome. Well, thanks for all the shout outs, Andres. Let's get into the quick info, and then we'll get into all these PTR replays, balanced everything that's just gotten dunked on us while you were gone at MomoCon. So
Oh
first and
yeah.
foremost is, of course, the game night. Game night is coming up this weekend, everybody. I know that a lot of folks were anticipating that we would still we would have it last weekend because of the long weekend of Labor Day, but due to consistency, we've decided to keep it on the last Friday of every month anyways. So we have been promoting it on the 31st of May. So that'll be the last weekend, and we'll see you there. Additionally, we have our Patreon coaching that's still going on, and we've been fulfilling those the best we can and trying to touch base with you guys in tag team time zones on my end to make things work. I've had a couple repeats, and Andres and I are now having some of the people that showed up. We're trying to recommend that they switch hosts just to see if they get a different coaching style, or even I've recommended the guys that I've talked to hit you up, Andres, to kind of get a different scope and different ideas, just to have a different style of coaching, as well as
Absolutely.
even just different things that we pick up on. And it's been going really, really well. We're actually just got a bunch of stuff at the bottom of the show. We'll just shout out our patreon.com/Omnic Lab. We'll tell you about who is signed up as new patrons to take advantage of these perks. But if you're at the $2.50 level or the platinum level and above, you have access to this every month, and so you should be taking advantage of it. Last up we have here is our Spotify link is still live. You guys can go check us out on Spotify with our Omnic Lab is also in a large part presented by Top Score Solutions, an esport oriented community and business for business education and analytics. You guys want to do any sort of business development, service development, or organizational structures, or just keeping content about gaming and esports, they're the people to go check out. So go check them out at topscoresolutions.com and check the links for their Discord community as well. All right, that's going to do it with all of our official sponsorships and all that jazz. We also want to push you over to our good friend SwitchFox over at Omnic Meta. Check out the new stuff that he's been rolling out there and keep an eye on the new updates regarding the Overwatch League stats section of the website, still in beta. You guys can submit feedback to him directly in our Discord by asking for the role, or you can just talk to him directly there. Let's talk about workshops, new skins, and the new patch that is on live before we get to the super juicy stuff, Anders. So kick us off here with what we got on live servers.
All right, finally, the workshop is here. It had a pretty good success around the PTR, but now that it's live, I've been actually playing a lot around more with it. I've been trying to be like a custom game curator sort of way. So I've been browsing the internet, I've been browsing Reddit for those sweet little codes that I can gather, because there's some really, really sweet ones out there for anything that you can do. Like there's the fun ones like Hero Gauntlet, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are familiar with it. That one is really fun to play. It's actually one of the feature modes in the arcade right now. So if you guys want to like quick play that style, it's up for grabs. But that being said, some community members have been really, really creative, especially with mods that can teach you how to perform certain things. So I've seen some aim training, like workshop stuff coming out of it, or nade training. I don't know if you've seen any of these, but it basically shows you where the nade would land and the area of effect that it would have before you even throw it. So you can see like the arc, and you can kind of get a good sense for where to place your cursor, how high you have to aim to reach certain places. And I think for a beginner, Anna, is great visual feedback. It's kind of like training wheels, right? You don't want to get too used to it, and eventually you want to take him out of the equation. But at least to get you like into it and ease you in, get your feet wet, and how the character and the abilities work are really cool. So I've been trying to find like cool mods like this that I can add to my arsenal. Maybe hopefully incorporate them to some of the coaching sessions that we've been doing, because I think
there's some absolutely
really, really good potential there. Have you been messing around with the workshop at all?
I haven't been able to jump quite into some of the workshops, but I did find something that interested me the most today. One of them was the thing that I think you actually retweeted that I saw, which was the Ana practice, where you can kind of throw the grenades and practice that way, as well as like a sleep dart practice where the bot will like disappear if you sleep dart them. Which I thought was pretty interesting. And then the other one that was amazing was that it's kind of like a stationary drill in Lijiang, where they have these Pharahs like just jumping, like using their jump jets out of this area. It looks like straight out of Duck Hunt. And all you're doing, and they were playing Duck Hunt music and everything. And I retweeted this on my Twitter. You can go find it there.
You can play custom music, or they were just like playing in the
No,
stream?
It was just on the Twitter video. But
okay.
they were basically playing Duck Hunt with Pharah, so it's basically a projectile training drill for your Pharahs, and they're basically not just giving different trajectories of height and depth, and like sometimes they're not really hovering, they're kind of like using the jump jet and dropping, so they're like these like birds. But I can see that game mode getting like tweaked over the course of time and having like hover training where they're kind of like dodging back and forth. I could also see it where you need to have them be in a different place or whatever, but this is like super, super great for training, like leading your shots properly and stuff. It was really, really cool. Really good.
One thing that the workshop does really well is that you can set up scenarios that when you're playing the game, you only get to experience them like every once in a while, right? Like let's say they have a pharmacy in the enemy
niche
team.
Training drills.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe you're like a decent widow, right? But you haven't had as much training against the pharmacy, which requires you to aim a little more vertically than you're used to, right? So it's good. You can go into the workshop, create a drill where you have something like that, a permanent like Pharah group that is moving in different positions. You can go in with Widowmaker, practice how that would feel. You can set. I've seen like people set reset modes out in a way. So like you have the Pharahs, and let's say you kill them all, you do a certain mode, and then all the Pharahs are back up. You can like kind of program it like that, so you can reset the events really easily and really quick. So for aim training or for things where you just want to grind that muscle memory for a little bit
Mm.
is really good. It's definitely not a replacement for the actual game, but at least with like muscle memory training, teach your hand how much distance it has to move, right? And get like that permanent feel for it so that when you're in the
Right.
game and that moment does arise, your body almost like moves by itself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, that being said, there's got to be at least one game mode that has nothing to do with strategy that you thought was probably your favorite thing on the thing. And I'll have to say, I have two in mind. The first one is kind of like this racing drill where you have infinite grappling hooks on Hammond. And you're especially on the Dorado map, where you have to grapple. And then once you get to this circular gate, it teleports you back and you have like 3 laps to get the fastest time.
Oh, that
And
sounds pretty
it
fun.
keeps a running score, and then at the end it like puts the top 3 Hammonds inside of the beginner circle, and you can't leave, and it just shows you who got the first place with like a little number. It's kind of like Mario Kart. So that was one of them, and the other one was a McCree only. It was a McCree only just fun game mode where the only way to kill McCrees was to if you do the wink and the gun emote, it would kill people.
Oh, I think I saw that. Yeah. If
So
you,
all you have to
yeah,
do is use greetings, and it
if you
would do the
use
wink
this
and the gun. And you have to,
hello, yeah, he does
yeah.
like the finger guns.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good because they did it. They demoed it with roadhogs. So you see like McCree walking up to a roadhog, getting hooked, and then saying "Hey" and like shooting him, and he's dead. It's so funny.
That's a pretty good one. I was having fun with one. It was not like the most developed one, but it was a very basic, like no gravity. And every time you press spacebar, you would like dash forward like a little bit of a distance with any hero. Um,
Huh.
and that was kind of interesting. I was like trying out different heroes, and then I just had the idea of like, what happens if I go Bastion? And when Bastion went third form and started flying all over the place, so I was like, this like Bastion helicopter just raining turrets on people, and you could move really fast. Like if you just started spamming spacebar, you would move from one side to the
Mm,
map to the other side in almost like 3 seconds. So
man.
I started having a lot of fun, just like moving around the map, super super fast,
Hmm.
and shooting down everyone. Although I don't think everyone else was having as much fun because they kind of left pretty promptly
When
after
one
that.
person gets a shooting gallery, everyone else is like, "I'm out."
But
I will
I
say
was
that one
having
of
a
the funniest
blast.
videos I saw was when Workshop's released for the first time on PTR, and I see like the next day on my YouTube page, there's a freaking 35-minute video from DeFran just playing Workshop videos. It's just like, or Workshop game modes, and it was hilarious. He did this one where they basically gave rocket boosters to Bastions, and they could you just fly around the map super fast. It was like triple the amount of speed, and you had full zone control. It was like basically giving a super version of Valkyrie to any hero. It
I'm
was
not gonna
nuts.
lie, if you guys get the chance to do a rocket boost Bastion and just fly all over the place in turret form, do it. It's one of the funnest things you can do.
All right. Enough kidding around aside. We also have a big shout out to our good friend Shazir, who always shows up in chat and drops us 1,000 bits. Thank you so much on our Twitch channel. If you guys want to catch us live, that's the best way to help us out is by checking out our live stream and dropping us some bits because we are affiliates there. So thanks, Shaz. Furthermore, we have a few other tweaks that hit the server for some heroes. We had the first thing is just the moving platforms got a slight tweak on Baptiste's immortality field and Wrecking Ball's minefield. These things usually didn't really interact with those surfaces very well, and so would sometimes slide off and sometimes ricochet off of them as if they didn't exist, or even pass through them. So now those things will interact with them properly and sit on them. You can definitely set your Bastion on the rotating platform of Volskaya Doom and throw an immortality field on them if you so desire. So you can do that. The last thing here is that the live event is also out. So this means that the anniversary, not the live event, the anniversary event is out and up and running. And boy, howdy, do we have some skins, man. Honors, you want to talk about some of this? This is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Anniversary event has been cool so far. I haven't replayed any of the modes, honestly, now that the workshop is out. I've been spending like my extra time playing that. But some of the skins do look really, really cool. I've been liking almost all of them that got released are like, yes, I would wear that. I really like that new retro wave Widowmaker that they came out with. It has kind of like those neon colors with the white. It's like very slick looking. I really like that one. The Roadhog one with like the skull for a head and like the toxic liquid or whatever that is that he's like having inside. That's
Mm-hmm.
badass. Winston Gargoyle is also like one of the best Winston skins they've released. What's
I
your
don't even like
what?
the skin so much, but like the fact that there is a giant cathedral steeple as your gun is the most incredible gun I've seen in the game.
It's pretty cool.
I will say that my favorite is actually the Honeydew May, and not just because of the waifu power that this skin possesses, but because this skin, although it is honeydew or melon themed, it's technically a kind of like a flavor, or rather a like a brand of a tapioca bubble tea stand. So her socks are bubble tea like tapioca balls. On her right hip is actually it looks like a sticker roller or a triangle pod of some sort. Maybe some people thought it was coins, but it's actually the little clear lids that are these plastic wrap, and they basically put them on the top of a tapioca thing that they stick with the straw, and they like have a machine that adhesive sticks them onto the machine with a vacuum seal. And they're really, really cool. And her gun is powered by tapioca balls, so when you get low, you can actually see the bubbles at the bottom of her thing. And Snowball looks like a freaking melon. It's just super cute and really, really cool
It
skin.
looks really cool. You know what? A funny fact too. I was talking to some of the cosplayers at MomoCon, and a lot of them said that they wanted to cosplay May, but it was too
Hmm.
hard because it's too hot, right? And if you want to
Yeah,
cosplay
it
her,
really
it's like
is.
it's really hard. And but they were all saying like, but now that new skin basically gave us a reason to cosplay May since she's finally wearing, summer clothes.
Yeah, it's really funny because like Jeff led us to believe that the Diva Academy skin was gonna be the one that broke the internet. You know, the one that's like a mixture of like Korean schoolgirl with glasses, Diva mixed with like Gundam Wing, and then you have like this May skin, and everyone's like, "This skin's the best," you know? Like it's just really, really funny how
really,
the community's like,
really good like batch of skins for sure.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the event is great because if you guys are all into the more casual or like catch up, if you miss an event over this course of the year, this is the event not to miss because you have kind of like the arcade is on a daily schedule that you can go and revisit other things that you may have missed. You can go grind out some loot boxes and get some bonus things there. I don't know if you guys know that, but you get bonus loot boxes for doing stuff like that. Um, in addition, you can buy anything in the shop. This is more of a general news thing, but anything in the shop at its upcharge rate you can get. So, unlike the other events where you get the new stuff that releases with the event for 3,000 currency for a legendary, and then if it's a like a prior event, so for example, uprising events, year 1, year 2, all of those things are 1,000 normal fee, and then the upcharge of 3K would be for the new stuff. This event is everything that is an event skin is the 3K, like the upcharge, okay? But the advantage is that you can get anything you want. So the two things I'm looking for is grinding points and grinding boxes to get May, and enough currency to get the honest skin that I missed. So those are the two things I'm looking to grind out. The rest I could care less, but the Winston skin's pretty cool, and I got the Riot Brigitte one in my boxes alongside with the Orisa one from last year because I missed that one. But Andres, is there any of these that you've already pulled? You're looking
I
to?
got the Winston one and the Roadhog one.
Okay.
I straight up bought the Widowmaker one because when I saw it, I was like, yes, that's right up my
Okay.
alley.
So you're
Um,
talking the epic Widowmaker one, the white and blue
yeah,
and
the white and
purple. Yeah.
blue. It's kind of like that new retro wave, kind of like synth wave
Yeah.
style. I just imagine like
Mm-hmm.
Miami Vice. I don't know. Like she looks really cool.
Okay. Yeah, I got all of
Um,
the epic skins in my packs, so I'm solid there. I like that new Sombra one. It's like golden.
oh, I don't think I've seen that one. I gotta check it
It's
out.
really cool. It's called Oro, which I think
Mm.
is golden.
Yeah, Oro
Golden
is
or
gold in Spanish.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's it for the event. Guys, get out there and enjoy gathering loot boxes, grinding ranks, doing all the arcade things. Let's jump into the PTR. This thing is crazy, dog. Crazy. There's so much stuff going on. And the first one, I'm going to give it to Andres because it is arguably the biggest change that we've seen, and it's to his boy McCree. So, Andres, take it away with the McCree change. It seems minor, but it's huge.
Yeah, this one's a pretty big one. They're basically reducing his recovery time in between shots by zero point 0.1 milliseconds, I believe, which sounds like such a small amount. Like 0.1 milliseconds, really? Is that gonna do much of a difference? Yes, indeed, it will make kind of a big difference. If you look at some of the videos that have been released about the before and after, it's significantly faster. And now you have to consider that this is zero point 0.1 milliseconds per shot, right? So at the end
After
of
every shot.
at the end of the day, once you unload his entire clip, you're shaving off about zero point 0.6 milliseconds, which turns out to be about 20% increase in recovery time. So significant change. I don't think that this is going to make McCree like this is what you play and you can't play anything else. I don't think that this is that kind of change, especially because of the way that Overwatch is getting played right now. McCree's still tend to be vulnerable, but that being said, one of the things that he was lacking is being able to kill or get that like pressure fast enough, especially with like I want to say almost like power creep that has been happening with the game, right? You have more shields, you have more heals, you have more ways to kind of like mitigate damage. And some of the new heroes that have been coming out have tools that some of the older heroes kind of tend to lack. Like when I look at McCree and then I'm looking at Ash, for example, or sometimes even Widowmaker or Hanzo, is like, I feel like I can accomplish what I can accomplish with McCree on those heroes and do even more because I have a ton of mobility. I have AoE damage, right? I have ultimates that can contest the point with like either Hanzo or Ash can do it, right? Widowmaker kind
Yeah.
of like it's a little more in line with McCree, but then you have incredible range and incredible vertical mobility with her. So McCree's just lagging behind a little bit. I think that they're just like giving him that little extra power that he's been lacking. In this case, they've tried to do it with Fan the Hammer before, and I don't think that's the way they want to take it. People are not super fond of it, anyways, and it just seems like a cheap way to increase his overall power. So instead, they're giving him his primary fire, though his, I guess, most skillful skill because you have to be solid with your shots, good accuracy, getting those headshots to really get the most out of it. And now you can do it even faster. I think it makes him better in the 1v1 situations where he was already pretty good as a skirmisher. Tracers, man, I wouldn't doubt if you can actually get 2 headshots off. Not that you need him, but just in one flashbang, you might be able to. Same with heroes like Brigitte. You're going to have a easier time. Junkrats are going to suffer a little bit from this.
You just have more threat output. You know what I mean? In a shorter timetable, you can continually push out this threat. And what McCree has always struggled with is when he's getting like in that mid range where he's like an ideal hunter, he still was struggling. And it's like this is an ideal scenario where McCree shouldn't be having any issues, and he wouldn't contest targets he was kind of built to, deal with.
Right. He feels really slow right now, and I don't think that is something that Overwatch can tolerate anymore, right? Like the game is played at a really high speed. If you don't play it at really high speed, you're playing it with compositions like goats, right, where you have insane heals and insane health, and you still couple up with a Lucio just for the extra speed because this game is so fast, right? And McCree does feel like one of the slower heroes. If you get jumped on, there's not a lot you can do. McCree has always had like that motto of the best defense is your offense kind of thing. You survive by killing the other person first, basically, with him.
Yeah, and the other thing about this change that a lot of the pros had been saying is that they really like how it's one of those things where this is the type of balance change where all levels of play are going to be affected, and in a good way. because all of the low and mid tier players that are missing shots more regularly are having more chances and feedback cycles to get better and improve at that fire rate, right? Mastering it. Maybe there's the McCree players that are still clicking and holding just to enjoy the game, or holding the trigger to shoot the gun. Those type of players are going to be more rewarded because they're getting more opportunities to land shots. And then at the upper levels, where people are just flat out not missing shots, or two, wanting to present a sizable threat to things in that mid to short range, you're getting this scaling like skill ceiling that just keeps going, and it's fantastic. So let's move on. The next thing is the one I'm excited about, so I'll hit this one. This is the Baptiste buffs. He has buffs, plural. This is one of the few heroes that got hit with 2 buffs. One of them is that the heal ammunition has been increased to 12 from 10. So you now have 2 more shots of healing, which honestly felt like it was pretty necessary in some scenarios, especially when like you're just getting dove and or you're kind of like trying to reposition and also fire shots at the same time. Is kind of annoying. The other one is the amplification matrix of the ultimate is lasting for 2 more seconds, which is a good change. I feel like this is one of those abilities where amplification matrix existing is a threat and it's good, but it's not kind of good enough. And if you kind of mistime it, those extra 2 seconds can make a huge difference. So now you have a little bit more wiggle room as well as more usability with the ultimate if you happen to botch it. Or even if you wanted to set it up and do it for longer, you can do so. But I think the time limit's more of like, if you happen to you screw it up, you can kind of reposition around it, or you can just get it to sit in a different place for longer and kind of not wait it out as an enemy team. You know what I mean? Like normally you have to wait until the enemy team engages, because it's more of a standalone. It's much more defensive than I'd say offensive, even though it gives you offensive pressure. But what do you think on this Baptiste change, Anders?
Interesting changes, to be honest. I think Baptiste is in a good place. This kind of like hones him in a little bit more. I don't think amplification matrix is gonna be OP because he has 2 more seconds.
No.
It's probably gonna be about the same. Maybe it'll buy you like a little bit more time to have that pressure on. But like you were saying, Rob, like the skill already is easy to dodge, right?
Right.
Your team can just disengage for a little bit. So that's what I'm saying. It might buy you a little bit more time for that disengage, but that's about it, I believe.
Yeah, it's pretty much just like if you need to reposition around it, I feel like that's what those extra 2 seconds are. You know what I mean? Like if you drop it and then your characters are using their animation wind up like transformation things for Bastion to get into tank form because he's reacting to it. I feel like that kind of makes more sense that the thing lasts longer. But I don't know. Let's move on to the next one. This one's a pretty big nerf and one that a lot of the upper echelon players were rejoicing in, and I'll just read it off. Defense Matrix for D.Va has reduced the length of it from 15 meters to 10. It's a very powerful defensive ability, according to the developer comments, and can often feel oppressive from far away. Reducing the range on it will require D.Va to position herself more carefully to take advantage of the effects.
This one's a big one right here. D.Va getting
this might be the biggest change.
Yeah, a huge reduction in Matrix. Actually, it's pretty big. It definitely makes D.Va much less attractive. She's not gonna be the end all be all. You're gonna have to be much more conscious of your Matrix, and you have to be kind of like on top of people now. You have to be adjacent to them at least before you can almost project it at a distance. So even heroes that were a little bit far away from you, you could catch. But with this reduction, you're going to have to be pretty close to them. You're going to mitigate a lot less damage, right? It's going to be more focused on whoever or whatever point you're aiming it at. And you're going to catch a lot less like random stuff, right? I did love the story of Poco from Overwatch League, the main D.Va player for Philadelphia Fusion. He said that when he went to visit Blizzard headquarters and he met Jeff. And the first thing that Jeff says to him is like, "Oh, hey, Poco, by the way, we nerfed D.Va." and Poco just tweets out, "Jeff just told me this. I'm devastated."
I feel like Poco and Jeff get along in the same room, man. That sounds great.
I thought it was hilarious. That's classic Jeff right there.
Jeez. You want to know what I was thinking after I read these patch changes, Andres, is this really brings me back to like our first ever patch change that we got. Like ever since the very first patch from moving from beta to live, it's almost like every 2 to 3 patches we get an update for one or all of the following heroes and a related ability. Lucio with literally anything, Diva with especially Matrix, McCree's Peacekeeper and main fire or ultimate fire in some way. Like, and then I can't remember the other one. I think the other one was basically something to do with Genji with Genji. Genji had like his stuff
Mercy
reworked
too.
so many times initially. Yeah, Mercy had the whole rework thing, but
Yeah,
yeah,
she's been all over the place.
that was just for a year.
What I think is really interesting though is that last patch, I kind of remember them saying this is going to be the last balance change we do for a while. We're pretty happy with how things are looking. We're gonna leave it like this. But this is a huge balance change that is just happening here, especially like the Matrix. That is going to change the playstyle of Diva quite a bit. It's not gonna change it drastically. She's still gonna try to do the same things that she's doing right now. She's just gonna be a lot worse at them. So we'll see what happens with Diva.
Now, a quick question, Andres. This shouldn't be in Stage 3 Overwatch League, correct? Because they're starting this weekend, right?
Well, this is still in PTR. There is still like a
right,
week.
but it's not planning to hit live until after Stage 3 starts. So this won't even be a thing until Stage 4, right?
I don't think we're gonna start this on Stage 3, but it is gonna hit the league pretty soon, either mid Stage 3 or I don't know. I don't think
I'm pretty sure they
long.
don't update patches until between stages. From what I
honestly,
recall.
they've done it both ways, so you never know with them.
Okay,
it's just what they feel like at that time.
Yeah, if that does make any changes, you'll be sure that Andres, Bobby, and Mel definitely tell you on our recap of that thing sort of pushes through. But let's keep it moving. What about Orisa? What's going on with Orisa here?
Orisa. Barrier can be deployed without interrupting reload. This is a nice quality of life change for Orisa players. Sometimes you have to deploy your shield right in the middle of your reload. And like the shield always takes priority, right? Like if you need to deploy that thing, you have to interrupt your reload, which is really inconvenient, right? Because her reload time is already like huge. And if you've played Orisa, she's one of the slower heroes. She has a lot of tools to be that slow, and she's great at being kind of like that beetle, really hard to kill kind of style hero. That being said, though, Orisa's looking really good for everything she does right now. She's of the
very,
best
very
main
strong.
tanks. Yeah, she's very, very strong. Like when you go against a really good Orisa, you can immediately tell how hard this hero is to kill and how dominant she can be at just taking a position and staying there. If she's using her shields right, she's using her fortify right, and she has a support group, at least like a healer and one DPS behind her or a roadhog, man, it's really, really good right now. So this change just makes it a little easier for Orisa to keep up the pressure. And again, bunker comp is one of the leading comps right now. If you're a good Orisa, you're in a good spot right now, tank wise.
Yeah, there's not much more to say than what the developer comments said here, to be honest. Orisa's has the longest weapon reload times in the game. One of them, like Andres was saying, and interrupting it to deploy a new barrier felt and interrupting her long reload time to deploy a new barrier felt really, really bad. So they're allowing it now. And I believe before there was some kind of like absolute necessary animation cancel the very last part of this reload time just so you could get your barrier out. And now like being able to do that has kind of opened up a lot of different avenues for her. So I'm really excited about kind of new guides and stuff that are going to pop out. And I'm looking forward to redoing our Euro guide on Orisa coming up soon, hopefully, to talk through that. The last change here is we'll talk about in a pair, is our niche friends, Symmetra and Torbjorn. We have, with regards to our hero changes, we'll talk about the next one in a minute, but teleporter interact range has increased from 1 meter to 1.5 meters now. I'm going to read the developer comments and kind of tell you guys what these mean, but this primarily is a quality of life improvement, as it was possible to create a teleporter that Symmetra was unable to interact with unless she moved towards it. And furthermore, Torbjorn's rivet gun on the secondary fire, this is the shotgun blast, damage per pellet has been reduced from 12.5 to 10.5, or a total of 105 damage total instead of 125. This combined damage output from Torbjorn's secondary fire was with his Overlord ability. Basically Overlord. His Overload ability was given too much damage, and also survivability paired with it. So they wanted to lower the overall damage from the shotgun blast to put him in line. But the shotgun blast is pretty much just a straight nerf. Torbjorn has been in almost all of my solo queue games, like literally almost every one of them. And that's why I've been playing in 6 stacks, because I was like, I don't want to play with Torbs anymore. This is crazy. They're everywhere. He's still strong. I'm not saying that he's weak, but it's just like there's so many people that are just playing Torb because they think he's good and they don't know how to play him. And then on top of that, the Symmetra change is definite.
I was gonna say, to be fair, Torb is pretty good right now. Like he's not a throw pick anymore, especially because he does deal a ton of damage, and it's really hard to kill if you're playing around your overload cooldown. Especially on defense, if you're playing it the right way, man, there's nobody killing you. Because he's very anti-dive in the sense that you can put your turret across from where you think people are going to dive. Then you hang out in a place that's kind of baity, right? Like you don't want to be like super out in the open or in a place where you can't find cover or your healers won't have line of sight of you.
Right.
But you're in a place where you're kind of like the bait, basically. You're hanging out near the point, hopefully away from your turret. And the second that they jump you, all you have to do is pop your overload. You're basically semi-invincible for that amount of time, unless the whole enemy team is focusing you, which is very rare.
But and you move faster, and you get temporary health that's armor.
You move super fast. If a Winston jumps on you, he's basically your prey at that point. You overload, and you just like dump 5 shots into him, he's down. It's like that much damage. And it happens all the time, right? As long as you're playing around that cooldown, and like as soon as he goes down, you play conservatively again. You go back to your healers. You have that crossfire from your turret constantly, so you actually put a lot of pressure with Torbjorn. And again, if they try to dive the point and you have your ultimate, you have a basically get away from my point button.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about Torbjorn. I like the change. I think it's fine. I guess that this was also a thing that Torbjorn's changes made him really strong on console. So this felt like another thing where it's kind of like a big swath of all elos plus console being this a main issue. And I can see this being a sizable enough issue on PC that it necessitated a change on platforms. Man, I can not talk today. Last up is the Symmetra thing. This is a quality of life change, sure, but it was always weird to me that anytime I dropped a teleporter, in most cases from Symmetra, I would still have to walk forward to hit the F key or press F to pay respects, aka get through your teleporter with the interact button. But like, if I drop the teleporter, I should be able to interact with it instantly, but you always have to walk forward. So I feel like this 1.5 meters range is basically where you're dropping your portal with relationship to where your current position is. So you don't actually have to move.
This probably speaks to how little I play Symmetra, but I hadn't even noticed that. I actually I just get to use the teleporter when somebody in my team is playing Sim, because to be honest, play her very rarely. But yeah, it seems like a good change for Symmetra is to be able to use it pretty much right away. And honestly, for the rest of your team, is going to have an easier time engaging with the teleporter, especially your Reinhardt that might be like a feet in front of it, covering everyone from getting into the tele, or Orisa, just being able to like back a little bit, and now she's in range. So it just seems in general gonna be easier to use the teleporter.
Yep, you can activate that interact key. That's not just for Symmetra, that's for everyone. So just to be clear, I don't know if I said that earlier, but the interact range has been increased.
And it's a different key, so it's not like you fat finger that key very often to where like you teleport by accident, right? That doesn't happen very often in this game. So overall, a good change.
Yeah. Okay, here is rubbing hands noises, the big one, as it were, for the rest of the non-hero stuff. And this is the Assault game mode has received a major rework in two ways. The first way, time awarded for capturing point A on all assault maps has been reduced from 4 minutes down to 3 minutes. Second, upon losing point A, any defenders that are currently dead or that die shortly thereafter upon losing point A will have a maximum respawn timer at 3.5 seconds. I will read the developer comments and we'll discuss. Assault match lengths are averaging higher than we are happy with. Wow, it's almost like it's been something like this since the beginning of time. For 3 years, it took them this long to adjust this, but they've adjusted a couple things here.
It just took him a little while to collect it. They finally have the data now.
Oh my gosh. No more data memes, Andres. Okay. It says they're higher than we're happy with, particularly in competitive where there are multiple rounds. We're concerned with the how often offensive fully caps A and B, reducing the time from 8 to 7 minutes should address both these concerns as less overall time rewards better defense. Additionally, some defenders fight late with good intentions on point A, basically meaning you trickle with a good heart, and end up staggering from when their team when A falls, leaving them with an uneven footing and to defend and rush on B. In these situations, temporarily lowering the respawn time to get the defenders back on their feet should help when teams should be at a better match experience and doesn't punish players so harshly for wanting to defend point A. So it's a very interesting thing because this is rewarding trickle fights on A, where before a lot of the time people would avoid trickling to a fault to defend A, so that they wouldn't get double capped on B with a high timer. If I recall, like our discussions internally with our 6-stack. And then on top of that, the other biggie is that to further counteract totality of time, they're just flat out reducing the amount of bonus time that you get on capping A. So regardless of how fast you get it, you're only getting 3 more bonus minutes.
Yeah, interesting changes overall. I think this game mode definitely needs them. It does seem that this mode is super volatile. It tends to snowball like way out of hand sometimes. Even if you might start like getting ahead, right? Like you capture it faster than your opponent, then your opponent like eventually captures it, then you go to another 2 rounds, and suddenly your opponent snowballs point A and captures point B really quick, and then like you do it too at like at regular speed, and next thing you know, you're like 6v6 like point wise, right? You're like in the 6th round going into like the 7th, and the game mode goes on for way too long sometimes. I have mixed feelings about it though. Like I think that the mode needs it. I think that definitely something had to be done, and they took a very specific approach, I believe, for it, especially like the respawn time, like reducing specific respawn time after point A gets captured and point B comes around to 3.5 seconds. It's a good change for what the game mode needs, but it's a weird change for me in just like the overall rules of the game. It just seems like the rules are getting so complicated to make some of these game modes work within the confines of the game, right? And this is more of a problem when, for example, you're trying to explain the game to a person who's new and who's just coming in. And I've been explaining it to so many people now that we've been watching the league and going to all these watch parties, and it just adds like that layer of complexity, right? Like, oh, this is 2-point capture, but you know, if they capture point A, they respawn faster, so they can do this, but they can't do that kind of thing. It gets really complex, and even when you're playing the game, it happens regularly that people will be like, wait, so what happens after we do this round? Do we gain a minute, or do we like not gain a minute? Do we have to just defend? And like it starts getting like super confusing, right? Like what is the rule nowadays? And I mean, I'm sure that people will adapt and will get used to it, and maybe I'm just being picky, but it seems like a lot of workarounds to fix some of these things, right? Where the
Mhm.
rule book for Overwatch is going to be like a Bible size kind of thing by the time we're done with this.
It's definitely one of those odd things that I think that the casters have mentioned in the past, and even the desk, where they don't mention it from the desk or even from the broadcast, but maybe off air, when they're on their Twitters or when they're answering questions in podcasts. They kind of talk about the building of storylines and not getting distracted with the convoluted mess that is the deep strategies within the game that we talk about here on our podcast, that people might be interested in, because when you're watching a broadcast, you don't really have time to explain these type of things in a really
Mm-mm.
fast game like Overwatch. And furthermore, when you're breaking a play down or a specific scenario down, maybe like why a team did something in particular for a team fight, you don't really have the time to kind of lay the groundwork as to why. Most of the time, the casters get a lot of bad feedback, even from the general public that don't really understand the game very well, even though the casters don't really have the mechanical skill of getting themselves from A to B in the ranked ladder. They have the continuity and the understanding in their heads of like how to explain it. So they have all these tools that are disposable. Monty's like, I've heard Monty say this, him and Doa before, where they're just like, there's no time to tell people, well, because the attack time is like this and the respawn timers are like this, and this is an assault map, so the rules are slightly adjusted on top of that, then X, Y, and Z is going to be taking place. And so because of all of these reasons, the team has developed this strategy and they're going to explain it, and this is what happens. This is like this huge, long shoots and ladders game to get to the point. You know what I mean? And it doesn't really help with the Bible of rules that you referred to, Andres. But like for me, I think that gives a little bit more niche of like understanding and enjoying the game. But maybe it's just me and enjoying the minutia, because I feel like some people just feed off of that, and I'm one of those type of people. I really like that sort of thing, but
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
if you can really think about these changes and act on them, I think that they're good changes overall. I'm just speaking from like a different perspective. Because don't get me
Sure.
wrong, I don't think that the changes are bad. I think that the changes are going to help with the problems that the game mode is having right now, for sure. And you're going to have to keep them into account now that you're playing the map. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I was just coming
Mm.
from the point of like, as understanding the game, it's getting very convoluted, especially changing rules like this, where like in this specific scenario your respawn timer is going to be less, right? And you're gonna have to know that. Some people are not gonna have that knowledge before, but if you do have that knowledge, let's say you're a tracer on Anubis, for example, and you're defending their capture point A, and your team just completely died, right? Before, this was a huge opportunity for the enemy team to just be like, rush point B, and they're usually not going to have enough time to set up or all be back up and ready to fight us. So if we get there fast enough, we can just snowball this into a win. Now, that's not going to be quite the case, right? As soon as you capture it, the enemy team is going to have 3.5 seconds to respawn. So even if you lose your speed boost to them, they're going to be back up, all of them, by that time.
So you need to be
Even
ready for them all.
even more so, though, you can be Tracer, for example, that we were talking earlier, and take it upon yourself to do like a suicide mission, right? They might have a Zenyatta or an Anna or something, and if you maybe see the opportunity, you can. It's no longer that much of a liability for you to go throw in yourself. If you die, it would be like such a bad loss. If you die and don't kill her, you're basically screwed, right? Like they're gonna rush you. You're gonna be one man down. Your whole team is gonna be raging at you, like Tracer, why are you throwing the game, kind of thing. But now it's not that big of a deal, right? You can take that risk, and if you fail it, it's okay. 3 seconds, you're back with Tracer, no problem. You're gonna be there for that fight. If you do succeed, though, you're stopping the enemy team on their tracks right there. That push is no longer like a rush. Um, Anna's out, your team
Now,
is back up, and you're ready to fight.
now there's something that I've been wondering about this in particular, Andres. Is does this make assault matches less snowball in one way with regards to timing and double capping, right? And quick responses on capping A into B, but make it more snowballing in a different way, a la like making it more ult economy focused, so that it makes hero switches if you have ults worse. Like, okay, well, we built a bunch of ults into point A. We're gonna save them, and we're gonna get all of our heroes back, and then we're gonna group up and go to B instead of rushing it. And when now we have ultimates, is that good for the game? Is that bad for the game? Is that just different way of approaching this? Maybe all three. I don't know, but um, with regards to the whole people getting upset about Goat's meta still being around, it makes it a lot more pliable that a strategy that is built around, retaining and maintaining the ultimate economy without flipping and the switch and dropping ult charge that you've been gaining into that fight just to switch a few heroes around for an advantageous position doesn't really seem that great to me.
Yeah, the approach is going to have to be different, right? Like
Right.
one of the easiest ways to cheese capture is to rush point B, right?
Mm-hmm.
After you got point
Right.
A, you would rush it, and it would give you a huge advantage. And to be honest, sometimes point B, you have to have that snowball effect, right? Because the defending team is so close to the point, and staggering sometimes doesn't even work, right? Even if you just kill a few people, you have to kill them all because people have getting good at like the stalling techniques, right? Like you go
It's so
Hammond,
annoying.
you go May, you go Lucio, and you find a bunch of ways to just not die and like hover over the point. So even though you're losing the fight, you're not really losing the point. And one of the easiest ways to like counter that is to snowball in so that they don't have a chance to do that, right? And you can focus down
Mm-hmm.
anyone who comes to the point really quick. That being said, that's going to come down a little bit. I think that the possibility of snowballing is going to reduce, and like what you were saying, you're gonna have to rely a little bit more on your ults to cause that snowball effect, right? Where you can like wipe them all out as soon as you can, as many of them as you can, clean up as fast as you can, and start getting that percentage while keeping them away from the point. And at that point, it's gonna be really rely on your team synergy and how you're using your abilities for it. I noticed that a lot of people rely on focus fire to get rid of the heroes. The problem is that in 2CP or 2 point capture, if they make it to the point, you've already kind of failed a little bit, right? If they make it to the point, they're already selling. If the Mei is in ice form on the point or ice block, she already is doing her job, right? If the Hammond is running circles on the point, even if you're focus firing him, he's already doing his job. He's just buying time for the next person to show up. So it becomes more of your job to keep him off of the point. Can you push the chokes? Can you use your Lucio boop to not let him come in? Can you use your Brigitte boop to not let him come in? Can you use your Reinhardt to stand his ground and like block him before they come in? I think that that's going to become super, super important. Rather than just like hang out around the point and kill him, is going to be more don't even let him get to the point to cause that snowball, or at least get that tick, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything that we've been discussing here because we're just kind of like adding on the other considerations to be doing because we don't really know how this is going to pan out like hard and fast. We just know that the game mode's going to shift. And on top of that, the other thing that I really like is just flat out removing extra time. Seems like a really good way of just reducing totality of time across the board. Like you're not going to see as many games that are going to go like 8-7 or 9-8 wins, or like you played 6-6 and now it's a tie. It's like those games might still exist. Don't get me wrong. It's only a minute off the clock, but with reducing the double cap time, you're also giving the defenders a better chance at defending that first double cap so that you're not getting into these long game scenarios where teams are just doing these offensive double cap pushes back to back to back to back to back and getting super high, racking up on those time blocked games. And then furthermore, once they also have that extra time that they're getting on point A, whether they're able to do it that way, because generally speaking, point A is attacker friendly and point B is defender friendly. And so to counteract that, lowering the overall time bonus is also a help. So I think that at the very end of the day, you can anticipate that your assault games are going to last a lot less as long. Like they're going to be shorter games. They're not going to be longer. Will your game mode have to be shifted and probably adjusted with a little bit of your strategy and going into it. Yeah, that's kind of the synopsis here.
Yeah, definitely keep in consideration, especially the new respawn time. If you're in defense, it's huge. If you're in defense and you're defending point A, keep in mind that if you die as you're losing it, you will respawn in
Fast.
3.5 seconds instead of 10. That is almost twice as fast. So that death is not going to be as significant as some of your other deaths.
Right.
So that's just something you have to keep in mind from now on.
Okay, there is a ton of extra things that they added here. You guys can go check out the link or the Blizzard official website for the patch notes. There's some workshop updates with visuals and other things. There are some bug fixes, general and specific, but I will only cover one major bug fix that has to do with an Ana and Sombra interaction, because for the longest time we thought this was a bug, and then there was another section of time where we thought that it was intended, and then we thought it was a bug again. But basically, Sombra Translocator correctly clears anti-heal from the biotic grenade now. So if you get purpled or you get hit with the biotic grenade from Ana as Sombra and you translocate, you will clear the buff, the debuff. Just like a cleanse with a cleansing effect would from your Zaryas. You can cleanse the anti-heal that way. So now Sombras are going to be a lot more I don't know how to put this. They're gonna be put in a better spot against Ana's the anti-heal than before. They're gonna have to play against Ana matchup a bit differently now. The rest of these are pretty much just like walkable positions, not firing something at the same targets as a bot, like very, very simple bug fixes stuff. But there are some more bug fixes coming. I believe that there's one more on the PTR or on the live servers, maybe. Yeah, I think the one I'm thinking of is on the live servers where Doomfist Seismic Slam was not registering damage for some reason, but the knockup was still hitting. So that's on the live servers. Any other things to wrap up our discussion here, Andres? We had a lot of stuff that we had to get through today, despite a shorter PTR. Like, these were major, major, major big changes.
Yeah, there's some big changes. I expect them to shake things up a little bit. I don't know if they're like the change of meta that everyone always talks about in these patches. Goat's still going to be pretty strong. McCree's a little bit better. And we're talking about the highest competitive level, because to be honest, the meta is super diverse right now. If you go into the ladder, if you solo queue, or even we've been 6-stacking, I think we encountered goats once in all of our 6 stacks, and we played a bunch of games this weekend. So I don't know, people are playing a little bit of everything right now. So I think the game, it's in a good state right now.
For the general public, the game has lots and lots and lots of diversity. 6 stacks or otherwise, and single solo
as far
queues.
as meta goes, yeah. I think a lot of people still have a lot of problems with, organizing the competitive mode a little bit more, so you can have more consistent games in the terms of roles. But as far as meta goes, I think it's in the best spot that it's ever been for the game.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Let's check on see. We're probably right at our hour mark, so I think it's safe to say it's about time to wrap things up here. So let's thank a few people over at patreon.com/Omnic Lab. We have our diamond sponsors of each week. We have a few new people to add to that list of our new patrons that are not diamond, and one that is. So let's jump into it. We have Top Score Solutions. We have a new diamond patron, Meowsh, I think is how you say it. Or me wash meow. I think that's how you say it. Me wash meow is a new diamond sponsor, and now my meow. It's like a catnip brand. I don't know. We also have Shazir, of course. We have Top Score Solutions, Shepard, Crimson Fail, Brendan D, Refire, Roger B, Chris to Play, and Tragic Zach still in it to win it. We also have some new patrons that may have signed up last week or this week, but I decided to include them just to make sure that we got them. We have Alex C, Matt N, Akua, Justin A, and hopefully I'm not going to butcher this, Far Valkoren. I believe is how you say that.
cool name.
It's like Far Valkyrie and Corrin from Smash is kind of how I was going about that one. So hopefully you're not too upset, but thank you guys for joining. And a lot of these were $2.50 patrons. So I'm hoping to see you guys on the other end of your payments to go check out your coaching. So let's set those up. And if you guys want to find the show, it's at omniclab.com. We have a YouTube page as well that I've been uploading our VODs to. If you want to go check out the video portion of that and you're an audio only listener, we have those available. Thank you guys for joining us on episode 152. You can join our Discord community before and after game nights. Andres, you want to talk a little bit about Discord community before we wrap up here?
Yeah, that's the best place to find us. We do game nights, like we've been said in the show before. This Friday, actually coming up, is gonna be your game night. So if you guys want to be a part of that, make sure to join the Discord. That is where the magic happens. All of our community is there. Great people. Everyone who's listened to the show, or sometimes not even listened to the show, but just wants to come hang out, is there. So that's the place to be, guys.
All right, that's going to do it for the show, guys. Thanks again for listening to this week's episode of 152. And we hope to see you next week. And good luck on your ranked ladders. Andres, where can people find you on the interwebs?
If you want to find me, you can look me up on Twitter at iPlayGames. You spell that IPLAI Games.
You can find me on Twitter with the tag NotRob, as well as Twitch with NotRobMay. And we will see you guys next week. If you guys like talking about Dungeons and Dragons, you can hit me up. I am starting another campaign next week, so I'll be updated there. And I think I should be reaching out to a few of you to kick us off, because Andres, you're going to be on vacation next week. So I believe the next episode will be
town,
me
yes.
and a guest. So we'll figure out who that is. If you have any guest recommendations and you can get them to me before I schedule it, that'd be great. If you're in the Discord and you have somebody that you're keeping in mind, you're like, I'd like to hear them on the show, that'd be great. Let me know. Love to have them on the show. Take it easy, guys. And remember, don't be a lab rat. Be a scientist. We'll see you next week.
I have nothing more to teach you.